I think, welcome Sister Aruna to take us through more deeper, understanding and experience of selflessness. Could I ask if Sister Aruna is here? Yes.
She's here with us.
Yeah. I will make you co-host, then you can.
Needs to be unmuted.
Yeah. Give me 1 second, Sister Claudia. Yes, Sister, you can unmute now. I'll also. And Sister Claudia.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you very much to be with us, Aruna. It's a pleasure to have you with us again.
Thank you.
Like always, we like to hear from you. And I have to say good morning from Brazil, good morning from Vancouver, good afternoon for you, good evening for all of you who are in India, so many different zones. But to see you talking about this, for me, it's quite nice because I know how you like to do seva and how you don't see anything, you just want to do seva. And then sometimes you are a little bit tough, but it's your love for the other ones to grow. So it is a pleasure to hear you talking about this subject. So welcome to be with us today.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you so much.
And before you start, Sister, sorry to interrupt. I think we always have a tradition to welcome with a poem that Brother Manoj writes. And of course, he has not forgotten that. He has passed it on to us to share because Brother is traveling and want to be able to join today. So let me read the poem on behalf of everyone who's attending. It's a beautiful tribute to Sister Aruna. So Sister Aruna uses the Almighty's power to teach so that our life can then, for others, become a preach. Then our relationships won't have a breach. We can then, for people, be easy to reach and establish a program called Divine Outreach. Then he continued in connection with selflessness about Sister Aruna. Joining from GRC, Sister's voice is indeed like a melodious flute, serving selflessly, not expecting in return any reward or fruit. Listening to her elevated sharings makes everyone go into the mute and helps to resolve all their differences without having any dispute. Through life, though life poses its challenges and tries to act as very brute, but she tirelessly wins over Maya, who then greets her with a salute, which makes her a valuable instrument of the divine, who is so cute. So welcome, dear Sister Aruna, and we are all looking forward. Please.
Thank you, Anuben. Thank you, Sister Claudia. Always a very generous welcome. I'm not sure I'm totally deserving of it, but thank you so much. So yeah, let's just have a moment, since I know you were listening to a lot. And I think already Brother Ken, it was Brother Ken, right? So yes. I think he's already covered the subject. I'm not sure what newness I will add, but nevertheless, let us begin with a minute of silence. Om Shanti. The beauty of talking about all these values and virtues means that we actually remind ourselves of their importance even though we may not be able to implement them completely. And so selflessness is, I think, a very practical value to, inhabit in our life. And the first thing that came to my mind is, imagine if the whole world was selfless. Imagine if every single soul just gave because they wanted to give and didn't want anything back, or didn't do it with any ulterior motive. And so I think the only place we can think of is heaven, where each one is just giving, but they're not even thinking that I'm giving. This is the ultimate stage of selflessness, where I give something, or I give of myself, I do something, but I'm even oblivious to the fact that I am giving. And so maybe in our modern day simple language, we might say that this is seva, this is service. But I think it's even higher than that. So a few examples that came to my mind were our senior dadis, our senior sisters, who really embodied this knowledge for 80 plus years. And one of their major quality traits was constant giving. So when I went in front of one of those dadis, I don't think she was thinking in that moment that, let me now give something to Aruna. Let her feel that she's taking something from me. They were just like oozing generosity, oozing abundance. And even if I go back a step further, then Mama and Baba, who were our, again, in a sense, mother and father, spiritual mother and father, even they constantly thought, how can we give more and more and more? Whether it was love, whether it was knowledge, whether it was some guidance, teachings. And it was like a daily, I don't even want to say effort, but definitely a daily attention that let us just continue to give. Now, if we look in our modern day society, there are still people who give, who are selfless. And the profession I'm thinking of is actually firefighters. Firefighters go into buildings of fire, not knowing that they're going to come out safe, not knowing that they're going to come out alive. And so they are truly risking their lives for the sake of others. Yes, there are other professions that care, such as doctors, such as nurses, such as caregivers, even teachers. Teachers go out of their way to care for children. I mean, how much is a teacher's time worth? Is it just her salary bracket? Or is it worth more than that? So every time the teacher is giving something extra, it's out of, and I can concur, because I remember my biology teacher, my English teacher, my needlework teacher, they used to actually call us after class because they knew that a few of us were quite interested. And so they didn't mind spending that little extra half an hour, 45 minutes. I remember once my biology teacher, he invited 3 of us. And he thought this would be a good thing for us. But oh my God, what he brought is 3 sheep's hearts. And he thought that this would be good for us to cut and examine and, learn from. And oh my goodness, I just could not take the scalpel to cut that heart. And so this is my point. My point is that, sorry, there was some message. Yeah. And so my point is that, yeah, he was trying to be nice and he was trying to give of himself, but yeah, I just could not take, because I just couldn't do that. So anyway, just look around you now also. Mothers are, I wouldn't even say a profession, but they give of themselves, they give from their heart. So just look around you and just contemplate, is there somebody that you can think of who is actually giving quite selflessly? And you don't need to tell us, but just in your mind's eye, just go over what it looks like, what it feels like when somebody is giving something and you can feel that they don't want something back. And what's the feeling? The feeling is actually quite liberating. Because when you're in the presence of somebody where you feel you are not going to be bound by, then that's really liberating. As soon as you get into a conversation or relationship with somebody who's giving, and then you think that, you know what, I think they want something back. What about an example where somebody gives you a present, right? It's your birthday, they give you a present. And then they tell you, you know, it's my birthday next month. So what are they expecting? They're expecting something back, or they're expecting some kind of acknowledgement. So is that pure giving? Is the seed that we have planted one of pure charitable action? And the answer is no. In fact, there's a very nice example. I can't remember, but it's from Hinduism history, where there was a king who wanted to give. But what he would do is that he would not look at the person that he was giving to, because he didn't want them to feel that he's looking down at them and that he's giving to them. In fact, he would just lower his eyes or keep his eyes closed. In some cultures, that might seem rude. But for him, he just didn't want to meet eye to eye and feel superior or look superior and make the other one feel inferior. So how many of us can really do a good deed and really not want anything back? Not even a thank you. It really hurts when, well, currently it hurts when you do something and you don't get something back. But after some spiritual effort and after understanding this kind of knowledge and planting some really powerful seeds in the soul, you actually realize, I don't want anything. Because as soon as I want, I'm creating a trap. And we say that, as was being said earlier, it's not seva. We say in Hindi, it's a nokri. It's where you want something back. You know, it's like a job where you paid for something. You paid for a service, and that's why you're getting the service. But in seva, in selfless service, you don't want anything back. And so why would we do selfless service? Why would we be selfless? Few reasons. I think particularly because we really want to create very loving relationships. It's actually very nice to know that when we're in company of each other, that, as I said, we're not only free, but we are light and we are happy. We don't have to count the deeds. And not only that, but I'm in my self-respect. When I'm giving selflessly, then I'm in that state of self-respect. Like the king who can give. And that, yeah, that's my other point, that who can give? The one who is full can give. That means if I cannot give, I'm not full. If I'm not full of love, how can I give love? If I'm not full of peace or shanti, how can I spread that? So that's why I'm saying it comes back to self-respect. When I am full, then I'm in that essence, I'm in that self-respect. And that feels good. I'm feeling my fullness, not my emptiness. Also, when I give without wanting, I'm not allowing the ego to function. And now this is a whole other subject. Because every time I exercise one of the vices, I'm actually giving them power. Every time I exercise ego, I'm giving it more strength, because now the ego is saying, see, she needs me. The anger is saying, see, she cannot do without me. And so it creates its own bossiness. It creates its own exaggerated personality. And of course, that's not me. That's the ego, right? That's not me. That's the anger. That's the greed. That's the lust. But still, every time I give in to those vices, then know for sure that those, let's say, characters, anger, greed, attachment, ego, lust, they want some kind of acknowledgement. You may not, but these characters do. And so if I'm feeding them with this false praise, then yes, they are going to get bigger and bigger. So today, it's just a hi, hello that I want from you. Tomorrow, I want more respect. The third day, I want you to actually, hand over your position to me. Because it is an endless pit. Feeding the vices is like feeding a monster, and it's never enough. But in acts of selflessness, there are none of these vices. Even if you think of somebody like Mother Teresa, she's doing it because she wants to do it. She's not doing it for praise. In fact, she says, if you cannot help the world, then just help the one who is in front of you. Start by doing little. But because we want praise, we want to start with the world, and we want to be acknowledged. And because of that, we get nowhere, because we've started at the wrong end. So first is to just give of ourselves in whatever way. Start by giving to those who are around you. And as I said, it's very satisfying. It's very enriching. And so yes, then it improves relationships. So one, it's very rewarding. Second, it's self-respect. Third, it's very rewarding in relationships, very satisfying. It really makes, as I said, the relationships very light and easy. And not only that, but I feel, fourthly, we are getting back to our original self, our original essence. And our original essence is that of fullness, where we don't ask, where we don't beg. We are not slaves. We are masters. And the master gives, the master wants to give. So if you think of selfish and selfless, selfish is all about I. Selfish is all about what am I going to get out of this? That's why I'm saying with the vices, it's all about, how can I get the most out of this situation or relationship? So I'm arrogant, I show my bossiness. I'm angry, again, I try to control. I'm attached, again, I try to, control that relationship with possessiveness. So it's all about what can I get out of that? But when I'm selfless, then what am I? What is the soul without the vices? The soul without the vices is one which is full of virtue. So selfless means more of the self, actually. It's quite a paradox. When I say I'm being selfless, it's a contradiction because I'm actually becoming more full inside. Because as I said, I'm ridding myself of these vices. So there's a great humility that comes with being selfless. And how many of us can actually do these random acts of kindness? To just do something for somebody without wanting something back. There was this program started about, I think in the 80s, 90s, and people still do it occasionally, where you just send somebody flowers, or you just make somebody a cup of tea, or you just pay for somebody's petrol. Well, petrol is expensive these days, but maybe you contribute $20 to their petrol. Anything where the other person doesn't know it's you that's done it. So this is what I'm saying. When we are in our virtue and focus on being in our virtue, then it's so easy to give. So I gave the example of the mother earlier. So does the mother think that, oh, I'm the mother now? I'm in the role of mother and this is my child and I have to give? No, there's a natural instinct that kicks in, which is this thing of really, if I have something, I'll just want to share it. If in the back of your garden, your garden is full of apples, you're just going to naturally want to share those apples. Do you see? Whatever you have abundance of, you will naturally want to overflow with that. And there's a very beautiful quote that said, there's a cup, a saucer and a cup. And this slogan is, my teacup is so full that I'm drinking from the saucer. In other words, first I even have to begin with the saucer. And then I will get to the cup. That's how full I am. And then I want to bring in the aspect of God. God is someone who is absolutely altruistic, whereby he or she doesn't want anything in return. If anything, God wants to see us just absolutely happy. So what enables God to continue to give? And that is, again, the fullness. See, God stays outside of this drama, this world of matter and soul and action, reaction. So God has to stay outside of this world to maintain his fullness. Because the moment we step into this world and we come into action, reaction, and karmic accounts, then that is give and take. And so sometimes some give more and some give less. And so then over time, this is imbalanced. And so then God has to then remind us that, hey, look, you're out of balance. So I don't know if there was this question was taken up with Brother Ken, but often this question comes up that if I take care of myself, is that being selfish? And I would say no. I would say no, because if you take the time to fill yourself, just take out 1 hour to fill yourself, whether you go walking or have a rest or have meditation. But then you'll be able to give maybe 3-4 times more back. But as I said, if my tank is empty, then how far can I go? And so, yes, taking time out for myself, again, the intention is not that I don't want to be with you, but the intention is I just want to fill myself so that I can be more present for you later. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's quite sensible. One shouldn't think that they're not thinking of others. And in fact, every machinery, every mechanism, in fact, as you know, I now live in Oxford, at the retreat center in Oxford, and it is exceedingly quiet here. But at night, or let's say the evening, you start to hear the birds and the animals. But then when it's really dark, even the animals fall asleep and it's dead silence. So every organism, every creature needs to take time out, needs to take a break, needs to take a rest. And we call this replenishing, rejuvenating, repairing. And it's not selfish. That's my point. It's not selfish. We are not being selfish when we do that. So yeah, bear that in mind, you know, because again, we can get very excited about wanting to give, but then we run ourselves very, very dry. And think about, why is it that relationships go wrong? In fact, I was out earlier. I was in a big store and I was in one section looking, and there was a couple behind me. I was actually also trying to figure out which thing to get. So I was taking my time looking at the different things. And behind me, they were having such a dispute. And they were saying, well, I thought you said this. He said, no, that's not what I said. I said this. She said, well, I thought because you did this, you said this, and this is. It was like, I felt like stepping in and saying, look, do you want me to mediate this for you? Because it's taking forever, you know, for you two to understand each other. So, yeah, the point is, yeah, how much energy relationships take. And how can we just put a full stop? And that is, you be the one to give. You be the one to say, okay, I'm sorry. You be the one to say, okay, I'm wrong. You're right. It doesn't take much. I'm not saying that you become a doormat. I'm not saying that you be taken advantage of. You stay in your power. And as I always say, you know, learn, lose the battle to win the war. The battle is this argument now. The war is, I've got to maintain my peace of mind. I've got to keep my shanti. I've got to hold on to my happiness. Right? That is the big battle, the bigger battle. So yeah, if I have to let go of 1 or 2 things here and say I'm sorry, it's not going to hurt. It's okay. So anyway, yeah, back to that. So when, you know, research has been done that when people actually do give more, when they are generous, they are actually happier people. And there was a study done, I forget who now. Yeah, I'm sorry. He's the one who wrote that book on happiness. Is it Coleman, David Coleman? Anyway, so there was a study done where they took 100 students and they gave them $20 each. And to one set, 50 students, they told them, okay, you go and spend this $20 on yourself. And to the other 50, they told them, okay, you go spend this $20 on others. And when they came back, they asked them how they felt. And of course, the ones who gave the $20 to others, gave it away or bought something, they are the ones who were happier. So it is a proven fact. That's not the only study. There is others. Plus, when you look at the lives of nuns and monks, when you look at the lives of our senior dadis, it is living proof that when we have a life of service, when everything you do is for the sake of others, they never go out and buy themselves a sports car or a big house or anything special. It's always with the concern of everyone. In fact, lately we've been thinking of Dadi Prakashmani. Dadi Prakashmani ran the organization after the founder, Brahma Baba, left his body in 1969. And so the Brahma Kumari's head was Dadi Prakashmani from 1969 till 2007. And one of the things I remember about her is she would always be looking out for what is it that people need. And I remember in the early days when Australians started to come to Mount Abu. And you know how tall the Australians are. And so Dadi would be looking up like, like this to them. And then Dadi had this thought in class. And she said, are you sleeping okay in bed? Is the bed long enough for you? And then she actually told the carpenters to make a few longer beds for these Australian brothers. That's amazing to be thoughtful like that. And not just to think, oh, they're just here for a few days and it doesn't matter. So many things. In fact, another brother was sharing that Dadi noticed how in the early days, the brothers would have to carry big pots to the dining room upstairs. And then she said, well, we should have a lift put in. And, you know, okay, the organization now maybe looks very lavish and comfortable, but in the early days, it was not, it was tight. And so then Dadi said, well, let's put in a manual lift. So the brothers used their brains and they made the manual lift where, you know, you kind of roll this thing and the food comes up. And then what happened is he was sharing that one day that lift stopped working. And so he went to tell the Dadi in the kitchen, Poli Dadi, that the lift is not working. It's 10 to 12. We have to get the lunch ready. So Poli Dadi said, okay, go and tell Dadi Prakashmani. And he thought, what is she going to do? Why should I need to call somebody to repair the lift. Anyway, obedient as he was, he ran to Dadi Prakashmani. And as soon as she heard this, she said, okay, I'm coming. And again, he thought, what is she going to do? But as she went to, you know, as she started even getting out of her room, walking to the lift, everybody's now seeing her and thinking, where's she going now? And everybody started following her. And they started following her. And then, of course, everybody helped because quite a few brothers got there. And she didn't have to do anything, but it was just her presence. Again, that trust and faith that they had in her, that whatever she did, it was never for herself. So let's go and help her and let's see what she needs. So this is how cooperation comes dancing to your feet when your life is of service. Even Dadi Janki, for that matter. How many times, you know, Dadi would sit with us young girls, and we were so young in those days, we were teenagers. And yet she would give, you know, half an hour, 1 hour. And she'd be so thoughtful, and she'd say, okay, is there anything you need? What's going on in your life? I mean, she took interest. She took genuine interest. And that was like amazing. So Daddy could have maybe used that time doing something else, or said, you know, I want to use it for myself, but you know, it's those kinds of things that have kept us alive, and that's why we're here today. And what is the most priceless commodity at the moment? And that is time. So as soon as you're able to give some of your time to others, people will bow at you. They will love you. They will hug you, because people have everything, but no one to listen to them. What can money buy? Money can buy almost everything except love, except time. And so if you can provide that, if you can come out of yourself, your selfish streak, and provide that time, then it's amazing. Others will appreciate you for it. So all the daddies, in fact, I had a very lovely relationship with Sheel Daddy of Mumbai. She lived in Mumbai. And somehow I just felt like she was a modern daddy. Not that she looked modern, but her thoughts were quite, you know, far-sighted or open-minded. And I just felt that I could speak to her about all my issues. And every time I did, she'd say, okay, let's sit and have meditation. Like, she'd never tell me off and say, you can't think like that. You cannot think in this way. This is bad. Never. She would just sit, and then she'd sit opposite me. And actually, many times, she would take me to, we call it the meditation hut in that campus. And we would go sit in that hut. And then she would just give me very powerful drishti. Drishti is when she looks at you here in the soul. And it just felt so empowering. And it was like whatever I needed, she was giving it to me through that. She didn't need to speak. She didn't even need to tell me what I needed to do. But through that drishti, I kind of got a sense of what it is that I need to do. So this is the level at which we need to work on now. I mean, to talk of being selfless, it's mediocre, because we need to be divine. We need to be elevated. And we need to already be in that space of wanting to give, not doubting it or not thinking about it, not thinking whether it's a good thing or not. No, we should trust that it's the best thing, and let us just get on with it. So there's no question in my mind that everything in nature, everything out there in nature is to give, is to serve. Everything has a purpose. And what about me? What am I here to do? Am I here just to take? Or am I here also to give? So really, let us come out of our box, this little box of poor me, pity me, I don't have anything, what can I do? And I'm sure each one of us has gifts that we can share. As I said, even if you can just have a bit of patience and listen to someone, have an ear to just, you know, hear somebody's stuff and not take it on as yours. Give time, do things with people, especially young people. Teach them a few skills, anything. In fact, the other day they were saying plant a tree in Dadi Prakash Mani's name. Plant a tree, take care of nature, conserve nature, anything that, in fact, you know, this is when sometimes people ask me, when they get stuck in trying to change a certain personality trait. And my advice has always been, stop trying. Stop trying and stop thinking about it. And I often use the term go general. Go general means just go general. Just start doing anything. Wash the dishes, vacuum the floor, do some gardening. You know? So go general in the sense of don't get stuck in in trying to perfect this. Yeah. Okay, so let's do a little meditation. Okay. And then I'm happy to take some questions. But yeah, I'd like us to do a little meditation on being selfless and on experiencing God's love, the one who is absolutely selfless. So let us put ourselves in that space. Okay, so let's just take a moment, sit quietly, try not to move. So firstly, I would like us to check. I would like us to check what is our thermometer of happiness. Right now, how happy are you feeling inside? And the degree to which you are happy will be the degree to which you feel full. So I'd like you to forget right now about the things you don't have, the things you can't do, the things you're not happy about. Just set that aside, and instead I'd like you to focus on the things that you do have. So I'm sure mostly everyone here has a very able physical body. I'm sure they're able to afford a few hot meals. They have clothes on their back, they have a roof on their head. And through this facility of the phone or computer, they're able to be part of this gathering. So we are already in perhaps the top 20% of the people who are physically wealthy. And now let us look at the soul. What is inside the soul? What is the stock in the soul? How much love do I have? How much kindness? How much respect can I give? Or do I have to measure that as well? Can I just be generous without counting? Just take a moment now to just feel the soul. And right now we should all be feeling so happy and so content and so blessed. That we have so much at our will, at our hands. And that I can create whatever life I want with these assets. And now with this abundant feeling, this very fortunate feeling, this feeling of fullness, this feeling of being a master, I just take my thoughts up to God. God is amazing. God is the one who knows all the secrets in my heart. Even though he knows my weak spots, yet he chooses to focus on only the strength. And so I can feel the embrace of God's love. Just accepting me for who I am. God has a ray of light for every soul. And that is that lifeline on every soul. That direct connection between soul and God is that ray of light. So even when I'm not aware, God's light is shining on me, looking after me, taking care of me, nourishing, providing. And he does all this for free. So again, just sit and take a moment to count your blessings. To say quietly inside yourself, just say how lucky, how fortunate I am. There is no one as fortunate as me. Shanti.
Shanti, there are some questions for you. One is a little bit longer, but I will try to make smaller. So says, sometimes there are many around who wants to give and only fews who really want to receive. So she said, not being God, but living under and with humans, how can we contain our peace of mind if the world around us does not want what we have to give and need other things we don't want and cannot give? So in one side, what she's trying to say, one side, she wants to give something, the other one doesn't want to receive. And the other side, they want us to receive, but we do not want to receive. How to deal with this difference?
They want to give, but we don't want to receive, right?
And we want to give, and they don't want to receive.
Yeah, well, it's complicated. Relationships. Well, firstly, if they don't want to receive, then see what we practice here is, you see, when we give, we're doing ourselves a favor. So we should just keep giving. So if they don't want, like say they don't want physical presence, okay, then just give them blessings. Just give them good wishes with your mind. Okay, so that's what I would say to when other people don't want, but there's no harm in us sending them good wishes. Because as I said, we're exercising this muscle in ourselves and we are creating good karma and it's good for us and we get the return of that. And then they want to give and we don't want to take. So again, the same philosophy applies. You can let them give and each one has a right not to take. But this is the thing. This is why we need this kind of knowledge, because I should not expect that everyone will oblige and everyone should do as I say. So this is then where we learn to, we say actually feel the pulse, know what it is that somebody wants and don't go overboard. Otherwise we just end up getting hurt. So it's better that we learn this lesson early where we say, let me gauge what it is that I'm giving. And back to them as well. If somebody doesn't want something physical, then just send your love and good wishes. I mean, many times in conflict resolution, people say, oh, this person doesn't want to talk to me. So I say, okay, did you try? Did you try to set up, an appointment, a meeting? And they said yes. And I said, okay, then let it go. Then just send them good wishes, because at least in your mind, you know that you tried. And that's okay. You see? So that's the best I think we can do.
So there is another question. They say, how to maintain a balance between selfless love and self-care? How to maintain a balance between selfless love and self-care? Which almost one is the other one. Let me see what you say.
Yeah, and I kind of talked about it already.
Yeah.
Whether, one shouldn't feel guilty about taking care of oneself. So like, for example, a mother who's just had a baby, I mean, if she needs to take 1 or 2 hours away and get a break and, just have a bit of silence, it's okay. We shouldn't think the mother's bad because she doesn't want to be with the child. I mean, if the child is with a good caretaker or the grandma or something, and I think it's sensible. I just think it's really sensible. Even many times I say that when people are having conflict, one of the first questions I ask them is, are you getting enough sleep? And many times they're not. And because we don't get our needs met, we don't get the sleep, we don't get the rest or the break, then we get, quite antagonistic. We get irritated. And that's when relationships get sour. So just, basic things. Just go and get a rest, go get a nap, go get some sleep and pull yourself together. And then you'll have more power to deal with what's in front of you. So I don't think one needs to feel guilty. Did I answer the question?
I think so. One thing is also when you do selfless, you do not think much what you are doing. It just comes natural, right? Yeah. So there is one question says, what's the difference between true selfless love and attachment?
True selfless love and attachment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, big difference. Because for first thing in attachment, you feel the pain. That's the first thing. So you're giving this love and then that person is not reciprocating or they're not giving you the respect or attention for it and you immediately get hurt. But when we are giving selfless love, as I said, we're just overflowing. We're not going out of our way. It's not hard work that we should feel tired or burdened or even expect something. No, we're just being in our natural state. We give the example of the flower. The flower is just fragrant. And the flower's fragrance just reaches everyone and fills the room. And that's because that's the nature of the flower. So the flower doesn't say, oh, only fragrance for this side of the room and not this side of the room or not these people. So when I'm full, I'm just giving and it's natural and selfless. And yeah, no need to want anything back. I'm just being myself. But in attachment, you definitely want something back.
In the interest of the time, I think we just like to thank you very much. And I'd like to ask Dr. Mehta to thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Dr. Mehta. You're always present. Needs unmuting.
And with his co-host.
Yeah.
Thank you, Aruna Ben. It's such a pleasure to listen to you in such vivid dimensions. You explained the selfless service. I think selflessness is flowing out of you when you are sharing. This is what I notice. I think when we hear you, we're reminded of Dadi because that's where you got everything from. And Dadi, of course, got from everything from Baba. So indirectly, we are remembering him. So thank you very much for sharing your lovely explanations and answers. They're so beautiful. They just come out so naturally and so selflessly. Thank you for sharing with all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mehta. I think maybe we can still sit for meditation 2 minutes with the song at the end. But before that, can I just announce very quickly that we have our silence retreat on selflessness happening just in 12 hours. You can still join to take forward this experience and learning on selflessness. And our next session on Values for Life series is on resilience, episode 47. We'll have Sister Denise joining from France. So please join for this, as well as next time it's for the workshop, it's our honor to have Mike George joining from UK. He's also an well-known author, spiritual coach, and he will take us through the wisdom of resilience. So please note. And we will share more our calendar and invitations in the coming days. So keep an eye. You'll receive our email from Values for Life series at gmail.com. Thank you, everyone. So Sister Aruna, would you do a 5 minutes of meditation or I should play some?
Yeah, I think you can just play some music, I think.
Okay.
Because we had a commentary.
We all can enjoy this moment.
I can hear my voice.
Thank you very much, Sister Aruna. We had to go, and everyone, somebody's asking the link for the Bhatti. You can check. Let me just share it again. So the meeting ID is 964-665-94466, password silence. And also check our websites. You'll get the info. That's vihasa.in. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you again in the next.